Megyn Kelly steps up fight to keep trans athletes out of women's sports in explosive new documentary. After labeling Caitlin Clark a coward for failing to defend Sophie Cunningham. Political commentator Megyn Kelly has stepped up her fight to keep transgender athletes out of women's sports by releasing a brand new documentary on the matter. In recent weeks, the debate around trans athlete inclusion has dominated the sports world, most prominently in the WNBA, after Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham advocated for restrictions to protect young girls from biological men. Kelly recently weighed in on the matter after calling out Caitlin Clark for refusing to speak out in support of Cunningham, brandishing the Indiana Fever star a coward. Now, she has escalated her campaign against transgender athletes in women's sports by announcing a documentary episode titled Fight for Female. As part of a 4-part series on Kelly's The Megyn Kelly Show YouTube channel, the second episode will focus on the rise in prominence of transgender athletes. In a trailer seen by the Daily Mail, Kelly begins by admitting she mocked Dr. Keith Ablow back in 2011 after he voiced his thoughts on transgender star Chaz Bono featuring on Dancing with the Stars and the potential cultural impact it could have. Megyn Kelly has stepped up her fight to keep transgender athletes out of women's sports, after calling out Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark for not speaking out on the matter.
Looking for a premium phone without the premium price? This renewed, unlocked iPhone 14 offers 128 gigabytes of storage, a sharp 6.1-inch display, and 5G capability for around $299. Want to get the best verified deal and see full details? Visit grabdeal.us/6 right now.
Kelly branded Clark a coward for refusing to speak out in support of teammate Sophie Cunningham, left amid fury over her stance on trans athletes. "I wish we had all listened to him," Kelly said in the trailer. The rest of the trailer then detailed a number of high-profile incidents in recent years regarding transgender athletes, such as swimmer Leah Thomas. "This is not an issue that we can be silent on. Our children are literally being sterilized," Kelly said elsewhere in the trailer. The full episode is set to be released at 12 p.m. EST on Thursday. The documentary episode comes on the heels of Kelly's recent clash with Barstool Sports boss Dave Portnoy, who called her out over her criticism of Clark. Clark was involved in a testy exchange with a reporter on Sunday after being asked about the controversy surrounding her Indiana Fever teammate Sophie Cunningham, who recently caused a stir by saying that biological men should not be allowed to play women's sports. The Indiana superstar had no interest in sharing her own thoughts on the topic, instead shutting down 2 reporters who quizzed her about Cunningham's stance and insisting the team's focus is on basketball. In light of her coy response, conservative political commentator Kelly took to X to brand Clark a coward for refusing to speak out in support of Cunningham on the issue of trans athletes in women's sports. Yet that did not go down well with Portnoy, who ignited a shock feud with Kelly by labeling her an absolute moron just 2 months after his latest appearance on her show. Dave Portnoy, left, ripped into Megyn Kelly, right, for taking a cheap shot at Caitlin Clark. Cunningham has faced backlash following her comments on protecting young girls from biological men in sports. In recent weeks, supporters of Cunningham have had their rallies gate-crashed by pro-trans activists, leading to verbal and alleged physical confrontations over the matter. "Absolute moron idiot to call Caitlin a coward for this answer," the Barstool Sports chief and Clark superfan replied to her. "First of all, you don't even know how she feels on this issue, and more importantly, she doesn't owe it to you or anybody else to be your political talking point. Total coward, cheap shot to call her a coward for not being your puppet. Why don't you sit this one out since you didn't even have any idea today how big a problem this is?" Kelly responded about the wider topic on trans athletes in women's sports. Hint: UCLA law estimates over 120,000 trans athletes at the HS level. Understand this, however. If it were your daughter suffering brain damage from a boy posing as a girl, you wouldn't care how many others there were. But watch my show today, BC. I actually answered your cue civilly and respectfully. unlike your behavior here.